Hello, everyone. My name, again, is Tanya Devane with the Omnia Group. I'm a client advisor. I want to thank you all for joining us today. I want everyone to raise their hand if they love hiring people, if they love, going through the interview process, looking through the resumes. Raise your hand if you enjoy hiring people. I'll give you a couple of, okay, I see a few hands raised, but not a lot of hands raised. And that's because the hiring process sometimes we don't enjoy as much. But the onboarding process we probably do like. And so if we can get our new hires to enjoy the onboarding process, to really get engaged during that process, as well as the other people in the office to get engaged for the onboarding, we won't have to do the hiring piece as much, which is the part that people don't enjoy as much as they enjoy having someone new come into the organization. And so this session today is going to talk about onboarding, getting people on board, bringing them on, and how we can keep them so we don't have to do the hiring piece as much. Now, of course, if we're hiring people because our companies are growing, that's a nice piece, but the actual day-to-day of looking through those resumes and having to interview people and hearing the same answers over and over, that can sometimes be a little boring for us. So let's go ahead and get started in regards to onboarding and how we can keep our employees and retain them and keep them engaged. So, I like to think of onboarding, and when I'm hiring someone as I like to think of it maybe like starting a new relationship. So first you recruit, and so that's like putting the feelers out there, putting an ad up online, letting people know that you are available and are accepting applications. And then you start to interview. And that's the part where you actually start going out on dates, basically, if we're talking about this in a relationship setting. So now you're going out on dates. Oh, I like that person. No, I don't like that person. But then you found the one. And then they actually said yes. So now we're really in a real relationship. And now that you found the one and you want to invest your time with this person, but during that first few months, years, that's still kind of the honeymoon phase and the kind of the settling in, and that's where the onboarding piece comes in. Getting to know that person getting to know you. So basically, you're getting to know your new hire, and the new hire is getting to know you. They have said yes, they're ready to soar, and so you don't want to lose that enthusiasm during onboarding. People are so excited when they first get that job. But, if we take this into the dating setting, you want them to take down their online profile because they have found the one. So the way you get them to take that profile down is by having a great process. So let's talk about a few things in regards to what is onboarding. So first question is, why is onboarding vital? So you can go ahead and type in the bottom, why do you feel onboarding is vital to an organization? And you can type in at the bottom. Okay, I see Jasmine and Rachel typing in so perfectly. So when we think about onboarding, so we already know that it's an important piece because you all are on this webinar today. So you already feel like there is some value in regards to onboarding. Nikki, first impression, yes. Reduces turnover, correct, Rachel. It's the first impression of the company. Jasmine, that is absolutely correct. So all of those answers are perfect. Yes, onboarding is vital. It's in regards to branding yourself. Not only are you branding for the new hire, you're branding for potential new hires that you may have down the future, because we all know that people can go on glassdoor.com or on Indeed.com, and they can see the reviews of your company in regards to your hiring process. And you may lose out of star performers coming to your organization because people are giving you bad reviews. So onboarding is vital for that piece, for the branding piece, as well as for the turnover, like you all said. We want to keep them engaged, so we want to keep people here. And so we want to ensure that they are enjoying our company, are really getting acclimated to our culture. And now, when does onboarding begin? So if I had to, if you had to put a date, time, when do you think onboarding begins for your new hire? And you can go ahead and start typing that in as well. And so think about before the first day, right, Mindy? That's absolutely correct. I guess I shouldn't have said that because now everybody else is going to put the first day too. I need to not be so anxious to give the kudos to the people that are participating. But I do thank you all for participating. First contact, absolutely yes. Once the offer has been accepted, Nikki, you actually want to do it before the offer is accepted. Yes, Rachel, there you go. Rachel's right, job advertisement. You want to, as soon as you know that you're going to hire, onboarding really starts before that, before you even place the job ad, wherever you're going to place it, because you need to get the existing employees prepped and ready, letting them know that we're going to have somebody come in, letting them know that a position is even open and available. So you want to start that prep before you even put the job ad in. So that's excellent. So I'm glad a lot of people realize that onboarding starts before you actually hire the person and before they come for their first interview and before that offer letter goes out. The third question, do you provide new hires information before their first day? This is just a quick yes or no. Are you all sending anything out, letting them know that anything about the company? So you've sent them the offer letter. Do you send anything after the offer letter? And so, and if you said yes, go ahead and tell me, just give me a couple of things that you all send out, just to get some great suggestions in regards to what you all are sending out your new hires before their first day. So this is I see a lot of yeses. Yeses between offer letter and first day. We provide what to expect on the first day, what to bring. That is excellent, Rachel. Policies, procedures, nice, Kimberly. I like that. I like that we have a lot of yeses because it is very important for the new hire to kind of know what's going on, what's going to happen on that first day. I remember I began a job, and the first day I didn't know who I was supposed to talk to. The receptionist did not even know who I was, didn't know that I was coming in. The only person I knew was the person that interviewed me, and she was on vacation that week. So, I mean, it was really a big mess, and as you can see, I'm not there now because it started, I mean, my first day was just a bunch of confusion. It's like I don't even know why I came in that day because they were they were not prepared. Ooh, Leslie does a quick video introducing to management. That is wonderful. I like that piece, the video piece. We do this during the interview process, dress guidelines, mission statements, benefits. I like that, Melissa. Make sure during the interview that they're going to fit into the culture. And so just make sure that they understand what that process looks like. So these are all great ideas. Rachel, I'm with you. I do like that video idea. It's wonderful. That's a nice way for them to kind of get to know you. And then the last question is there a difference between onboarding and orientation? And you can type yes there is or no there's not. And this time I'm not going to say who's right or wrong until we get a few answers in. I'm going to slow down a little bit. Okay, I do see some answers. Like I wanted to say something, but I'm going to calm down. So yes, I do see some answers. Great answers. I am so excited that you all are participating with the question and answer portion of the webinar. Okay, they go hand in hand. I see a yes, yes, yes. So I think everybody kind of gets the point that there is a difference between onboarding and orientation. And Melissa, I'm sorry, Jenny, yes, they do go hand in hand. A little piece is orientation, but you want to think of onboarding as a whole process, just not a singular event. And in that process, orientation is a part of it. And Debbie, orientation to the physical job and environment, and onboarding to the culture and values. I like that. That is absolutely correct. You all are giving some wonderful answers. So all of these are the reasons that we are having this webinar today, is talk about that onboarding. Let's make sure that we don't have any missteps. But I see that I have a star player group here today, and they really understand the importance of onboarding. So that is wonderful because employees are our biggest asset. And for most businesses, employees can make or break your bottom line. So we want to bring them in, get them excited, get them pumped up. So when they're talking to our clients, when they're out there in the community, they are singing our praises. And, you know, new employees are on an emotional high. They're pumped up, excited. They got the offer. They got the job because, I mean, interviewing is actually a daunting task as well. I mean, for them as well. So once they are able to stop that piece, they're excited. You know, emotions are high when employees start a new job. This is a great opportunity to capitalize on that emotion and excitement, solidify their commitment to your organization, and you know, you only get one chance to make that first impression. So day one on the job is where that new employee gets his or her first real actual taste of, you know, what the organization is about. Now I know you do that pre-stuff, sending it out, but sometimes, you know, it's when reality, you know, when the rubber meets the road. So you've said all these great things. Now let me see if you really have them in play once I walk through the doors. And it gets everyone on the same page. So when we have a great dynamic onboarding process, there's no ambiguity. People aren't left out, you know, by themselves. Like I was at that one company where I just stood there and they were really, I could see them scrambling, trying to figure out what were they going to do with this new person today, because the person that HR was on vacation. So that they did not leave a great first impression. So now let's talk about, you know, we know in onboarding is important, but now for my accountants, for my analytical people that are on the phone, let's get some hard, fast numbers. So let's run the numbers on this. So according to the Department of Labor, what percent of new hires are likely to remain for longer than 3 years with a structured onboarding process? So go ahead, what do you think, what percentage of new hires are likely to remain for longer than 3 years with the structured onboarding process? You can go ahead and type in your guess, or what you all think. Okay, okay. And see, this time I'm not going to say who's all right. So the answer is 66%. So we had a few 60s, 80, Chip right on with the 66%. And so so I did see a couple of low numbers, 30%, but it's actually 66%. So it's a fairly high number of, you know, if we have a structure, if you have a great engaging structured onboarding process, that's going to help in your retention rates. And we all discussed earlier about how onboarding can affect retention and turnover. So let's get to the second question. Google research shows that reminding the hiring managers to set up the first day gets new hires up to speed what percent faster? And so if we just kind of send out a note, send out an email, stop by the hiring manager's desk saying, hey, you know, we have a new hire starting. Let's kind of get their first day started off right. What percent, how fast do you think that helps the new hires get up to speed and so they can hit the ground running after training? So go ahead and type in your answer there of what you think it is. Nikki, you have some high hopes for our hiring managers. I like that. It's actually not that high, but it is 25% faster. They actually are 25% faster. Just from a simple email saying, hey, you have someone new coming in, why don't you get their desk set up? That can get them up to speed 25% faster, because we're not wasting time, you know, having that person just stand around, do nothing, because we're not prepared for them. The hiring manager isn't ready for them. And then the final question when we're talking about running the numbers, according to the Allied Workforce Mobility Survey, what percent of companies surveyed spend zero on onboarding? Zero. They don't spend a dime, nothing. Well, Debbie doesn't have a lot of faith in our companies. Debbie's 90% that don't. I also thought it was a fairly high number as well, Debbie. Chip is 70, Nikki is 20. I did see Melissa at 30. The number is actually 35%. So over a third of the companies do not spend a dime on onboarding, which is kind of crazy to me, because the top reason cited by employees on why they left, and if we can all guess this one, ta-da, Onboarding, correct. So we have a third of the organizations not spending anything on onboarding, and onboarding is one of the is the thing that most people leave for. Basically, the sooner you can begin the onboarding process for a new employee, the better your chances of successfully integrating the new employee into the company quickly. And they'll be able to be more productive, quicker, faster, because you're hiring this person because you have a need. So there's a hole in your organization. The faster I can get that person going, the better. But I don't want to just throw them to the wolves immediately. I do want to have some type of process and structure, and that's what onboarding will do. So let's talk about what the elements of that onboarding is. So the first is commitment. Commitment to the organizational to the organization, the strength of the feeling of responsibility that an employee has towards the mission of the organization. The way you kind of get that commitment is, like a few of you all said, sending something out early before they start, letting them know what your mission vision is, trying to get that commitment from them. And also, when we talk about commitment, getting the commitment from everyone else, the managers, the leaders, their hiring manager, everyone in the organization needs to be committed to our onboarding process, because we are only as strong as our weakest link. So if one piece of management doesn't believe in onboarding, then we really haven't set this person up for success. The next one is growth and career pathing. The sequence of jobs along which one may be promoted within an organization or progression into one's career. You want this new person to know that this is just the beginning of their career with you, that they can go many places. By joining our organization, you will truly be able to grow. So you want to get that piece in your onboarding process when we're talking about creating a structured onboarding process. The next piece is the consistency and continuity, continuing the process throughout their tenure. That onboarding can be a truly long process. It can go from 6 months to into some companies it's actually 2 years of onboarding. So, and then keeping it consistent. From one employee to the next. Mean what you say and say what you mean. And make sure that everything has a consistency feel. That everything is true in regards to what we said we were going to do. We did it. And then and the follow-up is there as well as the accountability. The next piece is communication. So mean what you say what you mean, ensure your actions match your intentions. So if you did all of this great videos before the person talked about the mission, the vision, and did all of that, but then when they come in, they are still kind of in the woods or in the mud because they're so muddled once they get into the organization, that can be a problem. So you want to make sure that we are communicating clearly. Also, you want to make sure that you're communicating the way that they receive it. Some people enjoy, the public kudos and the hurrahs and, the balloons and all of that. And other people don't necessarily aren't necessarily engaged by all of that hoopla. They like that more privatized type of kudos or feedback. So make sure that you're communicating with them the way that they receive it. I know I've been in meetings and the way the facilitator was presenting the information, I wasn't grasping it. It wasn't the way that I receive information. So I know I would leave the meeting and I would be like, I would ask my coworker, I said, did you get what we're supposed to do now? What are our marching orders? Because it was so muddled, it was unclear to me. And so we would kind of share notes, and she would have 50%, I would have 50%, and together we would kind of have the whole piece. The next one is guidance. And guidance and feedback. Feedback is so essential to the success of the onboarding process. So you can see what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. So you want to have that guidance, but you also want to have guidance with feedback, meaning that you can listen to them as well. You can guide them down a path and then kind of see how that worked for them and see if we need to make any tweaks. And then grade, and that's that evaluation piece. So we want to evaluate, are we hitting the milestones? Are we doing the best we can for this employee and for our company in regards to our onboarding process? So when we're looking at the elements, there are 6 elements: that commitment, growth, consistency, communication, guidance, and us grading ourselves. So now let's talk about some best practices in regards to what should we do before the first day. And a lot of you all said this in regards to we want to create an agenda for our new employees first week. It's much easier to plan this in advance than it is when they're standing right there and you're trying to put together what we're going to do today or for the week. So think about it, have it already done. Think about what needs to happen in that first week. And you want to create a comfortable workstation for your new staff member. That job that I told you about, I didn't have a computer, I didn't have a phone, I didn't have a login, I had nothing. I literally was just sitting in the office and they were like, well, go ahead and read the handbook. Okay. I mean, that was I felt like it was a complete waste of time. So create a comfortable workstation. Nothing kills a new employee's confidence in a company faster than being assigned to a dirty, unorganized desk that they have to clean out themselves before they can put their own stuff in. Setting up the workstation in advance gives that new hire their own turf. We all feel better when we're at home because we're in our own place. Make that, let them create their own turf or homey feel at their desk or in their office. So now they can feel like they have some attachment to work. Also, you may want to place important documents, such as the organizational chart. Let them know kind of what that workflow looks like. Branded materials like custom t-shirts, hats, work bag, coffee cups, mugs, pens, Post-it notes, notepads, whatever the case may be. And that will not only build the brand loyalty right away, but it also helps the new employee feel welcome. So now they feel like they're part of this cool club. They're part of the team. And then information. If new hires are getting the silent treatment between accepting your offer and starting the new job, guess what? You already sent the wrong message. Your onboarding process is already in trouble. Send out helpful information. Help soothe new employees' first day jitters by clearly communicating information that needed for the first day, like the dress code. I know some people said that they discussed that during the interview, which is wonderful. Parking rules, directions to the office, which they kind of should have, but maybe a better route. Maybe they've just recently moved here or something like that. So maybe you can help them out that way. And who to ask who should they ask for when they get there? Also, maybe like how lunch is done. Do you have a cafeteria? Do we have to order out? Should I bring my own? Or, maybe on the first day you're going to take me out to lunch. Kind of giving them that type of information before the first day will be very beneficial. That'll make, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get them to take that profile down, trying to get them to take their Indeed resume down, career builders, all of that information. You want them to stop accepting offers because what happens is you like them, you hired them, somebody else probably liked them as well. So you want to be the winner in this situation. So the way you can win them over is by making them feel like they're already a part of the team before they even step through the door. So before that first day, think about that piece. Think about how can I make this person feel wanted and needed? Because that's what we want as a new hire. We want to feel like we are making a difference within the organization, and you have the you have the information that can help us feel that way. So now let's talk about the first to 30 days. So during that first to 30 days, so we did before, now let's during that first 30 days, we want to give an office tour. Help the new hires kind of get the lay of the land. On the new hires first day, conduct a tour of the office. Be sure, you want to include simple but essential information such as where's their desk located, where's the restrooms, break rooms, where to find the copier, mailboxes. Introduce the new employees to other staff members along the way and encourage questions as you go. And as you're introducing the new employees, kind of talk about what that new employee does and how their interaction may be throughout their tenure. So like when I started, here I talked to Tony, who is our IT person. So they kind of let me know if you have any IT issues, concerns, if you have some trouble logging in, or you need something specifically set up for, on your computer, let Tony know. Tony's going to be your IT guy. He's going to be the guru for everything technical. And so now I kind of had, a place to go if I had a problem or issue. Or, Carrie is our marketing person. So if you want to create some marketing, if you have an idea for marketing, speak with Carrie, and maybe you all can work something out in regards to what that marketing piece looks like. So giving them a little brief bio of the person, as well as how they may interact with this person throughout their day or throughout their tenure within your organization, will be very beneficial. And then that also kind of helps them understand what piece of the puzzle everybody plays within the organization, as well as themselves. And then you want to do a debrief, or an FAQ, I like to say, a frequently asked question session. Like, typically when we have new hires, these are some of the questions that they have, and kind of get those out of the way. And also you want to set the expectation, what the review looks like. And this is within the first 30 days. I'm not saying you're going to show them your review on the first day and say, here, this is what we're going to start grading you on. I hope you get it right. Nothing like that. But as they're getting acclimated to the environment, as they are learning their job and getting trained in regards to their actual duties and things like that, let them know what that review looks like. So there's no surprises, and they're not like, wow, okay, so you're grading me on this? I didn't even know that was part of my responsibilities. I've had that happen. This is a real life story. It was, my 60-day review, and there was something on there that I had never done because I never knew that I was supposed to do it. And I didn't find out till 60 days in. And so you don't want to have that shock. So let them know what they're being graded on, and kind of debrief in regards to how their day has been going, how their week has been going. You want to do some official check-ins throughout that first 30 days. You want to make sure the new hires know that they are free to share and encourage new ideas. They may not be comfortable doing so, definitely not on the first day somebody comes in and say, okay, we need to change the whole program. Well, I actually had somebody that I hired that felt that way, and kind of stated it emphatically, but they didn't last really long. But, most people do not feel comfortable thinking that first day they're going to change everything within the organization. But what happens when you have new, fresh eyes looking at processes, procedures, they may have some suggestions, because, please, you've been doing it for 10 years, 20 years, and it works fine. But now when you have someone new come in, they may have a new, better way to do it. And so they could change up the organization as well. So definitely solicit the feedback, have some debrief, talk to them about the things that they felt were wonderful, and the things that they had some challenges with, or maybe that we as the employer had some challenges with in regards to giving them that type of information. So definitely listen to what the new hires have to say, because they could have a fresh perspective on the situation. So now let's talk about 31 days and beyond. During this time, and it's really throughout the time, but really on the 31st day and beyond, you want to really identify the weaknesses at this stage. And this will allow you to either nip the potential problems in the bud or terminate the new hire. Employment before too many resources, you spent too much money, has been invested in an employee that ultimately will not work. You want to think about, really looking at their job, really looking at things that they've been doing, and see, are they truly getting acclimated into our environment. I read someplace that sometimes it takes about 45 days for someone to truly kind of understand their job, where they can truly be evaluated on. So you want to kind of start seeing things, day 31, that, okay, you should be able to do a few things, even though maybe with some help or some trouble, but you should start seeing them being able to grasp concepts of what this position looks like. And so when we're thinking about that 31st day and beyond, we want to think about balance, working on their own with mentoring and training. You and the employee should create a timeline of these expectations. So, at this point, we want to be giving them little goals, little things to accomplish, just to make sure that we understand how they work, and make sure that they can grasp the concepts and can do and can handle the position that we hired them for. Also, again, asking for feedback, input. This is the person that can give you some information in regards to what does this look like. I mean, I remember I worked for an organization where the first person that this organization came in contact with, or the excuse me, clients came in contact with, they seemed to struggle a little bit. And then we had and because they had been doing it for years, they had been doing that job for a long time. And so then we had a new person come in to that position. And they were like, well, I think this could, if we eliminated these two things, this would make this job much smoother. And it has worked out great, because now with that new person coming in with those fresh eyes, we were able to see some hiccups that we had. And so while that person initially struggled, the previous employer initially struggled, now we see, okay, maybe the workload was a lot. It was an overload. So maybe that was our fault. And so you want to think about that. So that's why listening to that feedback is essential in regards to, how much work they can get done within 8 hours. Also, you want to do that review. You want to ensure that you're doing a 30, 60, 90-day review. You want to check in with them frequently so you know if we need to make those adjustments. I mean, this onboarding can, while it is structured, you still want to have some flexibility, because we are dealing with individuals. Some people pick things up quicker than others, so we want to ensure that we are not doing them a disservice by sticking, okay, Tanya said we need to have a structured onboarding plan, and we're going to have a structured onboarding plan. Yes, you need to have a plan, but you also want to be flexible in that plan. You want to set those expectations with the employee. Will you have one-on-one meetings? I suggest, yes, you do need to have one-on-one meetings, and you need to have set aside time one-on-one meetings. At one company I worked for, literally, no lie, the review or the debriefing was, I was on the elevator, and she was getting off of the elevator, and that's when we had our review. How's everything going? Do you have everything you need? I mean, that literally was my review. And so, once again, I'm not with that organization because I didn't really feel like they were investing in me. I was not important to them. And we all know that your people should be your most important asset. You want to set that expectation. You want to let the employee know when that review will happen, how often they will occur, and also have an open door policy, because sometimes things just happen and we need to be able to address it right then, and maybe not in a meeting. And have a true open door policy. I know a lot of us say we have an open door policy, but we really don't. I know I worked for a company where my boss, she said she had an open door policy, but depending on how she said hello in the morning, we knew if that day was truly the open policy day, or I have my door open, but you better not step through the threshold, or you will get the wrath. So, and it was just by the way she said hello. If she said good morning, then we were good. If she said and just gave you the head nod, okay, that was the day that everybody stayed in their office and we really didn't go out. And so make sure you do truly have an open door policy. Individual meetings can improve morale by helping new employees realize that, that they are heard and they are being valued. Also, high morale generates a positive environment. When you use those one-on-one sessions to inquire about new employees' goals and interests, it's going to increase their engagement. They're going to be a part of the process and enjoy, this onboarding experience. So now we've talked about kind of the first, let's just say, 90 days. Let's talk about some of the pitfalls that happen during and kind of derail our onboarding process. The first one that can derail our onboarding process is information dumping. That's when we on day one, they have to sign every single piece of paper that HR has ever printed a day in their lives. They have to get all of that done. So they're spending 3 hours with HR. What do you all think is the downside of having, our potential new, or excuse me, our new hire fill out 4 hours worth of paperwork? What is the downside of that? That when they come in, they see the hiring manager, hello, thank you for joining us today, bud. I'm your hiring manager, but I'm getting ready to set you up with Chip, our HR person, and they're going to discuss all of the insurance, the benefits, and things like that. Lack of retention, boredom. Exactly, Rachel. That is so true. When you have your new employee come in, they see the hiring manager, then they get to the HR person. That is not necessarily the best way to set up that onboarding. You are correct, Deb. Overload sometimes can feel intimidating to the new hire. That is exactly right. Sensory overload and nothing is retained. You are giving me way too much information. I'm not going to remember everything that you just told me. And why am I spending 4 hours with this one person or 3 hours with this one person? Now, I know there are some forms that kind of need to be filled out quickly. So let's just get those done. Or if you can send them out ahead of time, the direct deposit, things like that. That's a great one to send out, the direct deposit, because now, that kind of gets their head wrapped around the money piece of, yeah, I have this job, I'm going to get money. That's wonderful. So you want to kind of break that piece up. They don't necessarily need to spend all that time with HR in regards to getting all that paperwork done. Get some of it done beforehand or break their day up a little bit so they have some variety. And that's kind of the solution. You spread it out and give breaks. You don't want this person spending all this time with this one person in the office. So go ahead, break it up. Let's do a little of HR stuff. Let's do the tour. Let's do some lunch. Let's kind of give them some time to look at their office, get acclimated, drop their stuff off. You want to give them some breaks and just think about your day. Think about you yourself. If you had to sit there and listen to someone talk for 3 hours, how engaged would you be? So put yourself in their shoes in regards to the HR piece, so that information dumping, loading everything on them at once can be a little much. The second pitfall we have is isolation. We're talking about organizational culture and integration. Think about, why do people leave positions? They leave positions because of management, leadership, culture. They don't leave positions because of the actual position. So we don't want them to feel isolated. You don't let your new employee feel like they are the kid that gets picked last. So when we think about what the outcome could be, it's low engagement scores. And how can we fix that? Oops, sorry. You want to save and display in regards to your solution. So you want to, walk the walk, talk the talk of your work culture. If you sent out information beforehand and you said how, your culture believes in believes in volunteering, community outreach, we should see that within your organization. Give them the inside scoop, not gossip. We're not talking about people, but like the person in the office that has the snacks, or the someone who always has candy, or what the casual days are, or what the company prides itself in. The reality is, we really spend a lot of time with these people, with our coworkers. It's important to have those solid relationships, and you want to start that relationship piece during the onboarding phase. Culture is conveyed through company values, senior leadership, employees, and the relationship and communication throughout the organization. So you want to truly, if you truly want this inclusive type of organization, you have to show that. Although, sometimes it can be challenging to set aside time because you hired this person probably because you have, your current employees are overworked or there's a hole in the organization. But you want to set out some time that maybe the people in that department can go out to lunch, for that first week. Maybe not everyone go out to lunch together, but maybe with the new hire, they go out with these two people, they go to lunch, or then, to kind of get that camaraderie happening within that organization or within that department. Letting them kind of talk outside of the office is very beneficial. Get them outside of that setting. That can help in regards to building engagement. It's wonderful to have, lunch with management and, on that first day or during that first week, but are they going to see the manager every day? Are they going to be working day to day with that manager? What's truly going to last them and keep them is that relationship they have with their peers, their direct peers. So try to set that up. Try to have so they can go to lunch together. And I understand it can, kind of put a little time pressure on. So I'm not saying let the whole service team go to lunch together, but maybe you can kind of break them off in pairs a little bit. So now let's talk about that next pitfall. Onboarding is the same as orientation. Now, the great thing about this group today, you all know that onboarding is not the same as orientation. So let's talk about if someone does think that, what are some of the challenges that they're going to face? So go ahead and type that in. If people did think that onboarding was the same as orientation, what are some of the challenges that they would face as an organization in regards to onboarding? Just to kind of help you out a little bit, the new hires feel lost and they start to disengage because now I'm just a number. Correct, Chip. They feel disoriented. I'm just a number. I'm just a badge. I'm just 122556. I'm not even Tanya Devane anymore. So because you're just processing me through, like you're just processing me through the plant. I'm not actually being cultivated like I would be in a greenhouse. I'm just somebody on the line. And so you want to you want to have your employees feel engaged. So think of or onboarding as a marathon and not a sprint. Remember, you're thinking about this person for the long haul. If we go back to that dating scenario, you said yes, you want this marriage to last forever. And so in marriage, you can't think of it as a sprint. You have to think of it as a marathon, as going the paces, going the distance. And so you want them to feel that you are vested in them so they will stick around. Basically, you want them to take down that ad. You want them to know that they are the right fit for your organization. And some surveys say that onboarding can take up to a year or 2 years. I was reading in regards to different companies onboarding. MasterCard and IBM actually consider their onboarding as 2 years. And so that's a really long time. So, we want to make sure that they're happy and we want to make sure that they stick around in regards to that onboarding piece. And now let's talk about the last pitfall that we sometimes face. Unstructured onboarding process. Now we know we need to have the onboarding. We know we need to onboard our employees, and now we need to have a structured onboarding because without it, that high turnover, that loss of productivity and revenue. Because if you think that person is going to hit the ground running with nothing from you, you are in for a rude awakening because employees cannot hit the ground running until they know what you want. Sometimes, potential new hires will say that in the interview, I'm ready to hit the ground running. Really? Well, do you know what our goals are? So how are you going to go in a direction if you don't even know where we want you to go? So it always makes me kind of chuckle on the inside when I'm interviewing candidates and they say that piece because you don't know enough about what this job actually looks like and what our goals are for you. So how can you start if you don't know what our goals are? And so with an unstructured onboarding process, they won't know what the goals are. But with the structured onboarding process, they're going to have agenda, which is going to give them the why, the what for. They're going to know where we're trying to go. They're going to have purpose, and that's what every employee has, whether they're a new hire or an existing employee that's been with you for 20 years. They want to have purpose. They want to know that what they're doing makes a difference within this organization, and you want to start that early on in the process. And then leaders, having senior management leadership involved in the process, in that onboard, and have them not just kind of give the wink nod, okay, I believe in onboarding, but have them truly be an important piece of that onboarding piece, that they really get involved, that they are proactive and engaged in the process as well. That's going to help in regards to you not having that unstructured onboarding process. Best-in-class organizations are more likely to have a more formal onboarding program in place that goes beyond the basic, new hire orientation, and it's more of a a proactive type of process. So they kind of think about what the new hire may need. That's why we're sending out those pre start date welcome packets. That's why we're getting their desk set up. We're trying to think about what will this person need to move forward. We want to, and make sure that we specify what, when, and how each onboarding is going to happen, the objectives, and who should be involved. We want to get all of that information up front in regards to the onboarding process. And now when we're thinking about that onboarding process, let's think about some key strategies that we need in regards to that process. And the first one is objectives. And we don't want to keep our clients, or excuse me, our new hires in the dark, like this page. We don't want to keep them in the dark. What we want to do is set a goal. So we want to define our goals and objectives. Like I've already mentioned before, that employee engagement is a key driver in onboarding programs, but to increase retention rates and shorten the time it takes for the new employee to kind of hit that ground running, they need to have clear understanding of what the goals are. So we want to set the goal. We want to set a goal, a stretch goal. We want to set it so it stretches them but not break them, because we don't want them to feel deflated and they just started with the organization. But we do want to set some goals because we need to know what direction we want to go. We need to know where we're trying to get. Also, you want to make a plan. But like I said earlier, you want to be flexible because we're dealing with individuals. People learn at different paces. People understand things differently. Some people are more tactile, where they need to touch it, feel it, smell it to get it in their head, and other people can just read it and grasp that concept. So make a plan, but be flexible. Then we got to start getting to work. I mean, I'm not paying you to sit here and be pretty. So I need you to start working our plan and then stick to it. I always think about this when I see the stick to it. We all make those New Year's Eve or New Year resolutions. I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and by April, May, March, we've stopped doing it. So you want to stick to it. And because this is your onboarding process, you can kind of be their accountability buddy, because one, you're the hiring manager. So yes, you are their accountability buddy. You will know when they're not making it, and you kind of help them along. So you want to stick to it. And then, you reach that goal, which is amazing. And then that's when you're going to reward them for that. Give them that kudos, give them that congratulations, especially when they're doing those little projects that we have said that they need to start early in the onboarding process, giving them little goals to reach, little processes to complete. When they do that, give them some reward. Let them know that you appreciate it and that they are on the right track. That's how they're going to keep that momentum up for the next hurdle that you give them. So make sure that we are rewarding good behavior. And so we are giving them those kudos, those pats. We're affirming that this is a behavior that is successful within our organization. So you want to say, John, great job. The next key strategy are the instruments that you're going to use. Once you've created the plan, you've turned your attention to the training and performance support that you'll need for the onboarding process. Do not neglect these areas. Don't think that they'll just, magically happen. Organizations that have the high engagement scores, they are likely to have a culture of learning, and this begins during the onboarding process. Companies that have those high engagement scores, they understand and the benefit of continually training your people. Always have, knowledge is key, and by you growing their knowledge, you're going to grow your profits. And so you want to start that early on in the process. You want to coach mentors, and mentors should be assigned to new employees, kind of like who to go to if you have a question. You're like, who should you reach out to? Not necessarily that the mentor has to be, their shadow and be right next to them at all times, but just say, that Don, you are going to be Debbie's mentor. So Debbie, if you have any questions in regards to something, speak with Don, and Don will help you out. So just letting them know that they have a resource to go to will be beneficial. Also, that self-study, give them an opportunity so they can absorb the information. We don't want to overload them. So we want to make sure that they have, a quiet place to work or kind of study and self-reflect in regards to the information for that day, especially during that first week. They need some decompression because the first week is going to be hard. I mean, there's just some information we have to give you during that first week to make sure that, we get up to speed. And so, but give them some decompression time in regards to the information that you're giving. Also, videos. Effective use of technology can be used to engage new employees in the onboarding process. Videos and other e-learning systems can provide a variety as well as a great information, and it's an effective way teaching new skills. Just having someone sit in a classroom all day, that can be boring. I mean, we graduated college. We graduated, I don't want to sit there and listen to a lecture for 2 hours, 3 hours. Give them some other type of stimulation in regards to maybe some videos. Maybe they sit with an employee just to kind of listen to see how that day goes. Even if they don't know everything, sometimes just listening can be beneficial because now you're kind of reaffirming what they heard during that lecture piece. But to have someone sitting in a classroom for 8 hours, that can sometimes have make them kind of lose interest in regards to or not be able to retain the information. So you want to break that day up a little bit as well. And that can be done by videos or other type of e-learning tools. And then last, the on-the-job training. Assign little projects for them that they can complete just so you can see how they work through the process and give them a real-world feel of the job. Basically, like anything else, you want to set them up for success. Like a master chef needs his knives, pots, and pans, your new hires will need the proper tools as well. So an extra person to mentor them, a place to self-study or have some quiet time, some videos, and then having projects that they can work on. All of those instruments and tools can be very beneficial. And then we're talking about key strategy number 3. Let's talk about teamwork. Everyone should be involved, from leadership down. You can have the best plan with the great training materials and still have an ineffective onboarding program. If the people who need to implement it don't believe in it, don't support it, if the hiring manager's input during the development stage and is not there, if they're not getting the feedback, the implementation and effectiveness of your program is going to definitely be hindered. Ensure that the managers have training on coaching and mentoring new employees. Not every, managers get promoted up, and sometimes they don't necessarily get all of the training that a manager needs to have to be an effective manager. So make sure that they have the training. Make sure they understand what the importance of onboarding and how that process looks. Remember that statistic earlier that we talked about from Google, that the hiring managers set up the first day. If they know and can set that new hire up, they're going to get they are going to hit the ground faster, 25% faster, will get up to speed just by the hiring manager being able to be prepared and understand what that process looks like. The next one, we talk about responsibility. And actually, we're going to talk about accountability. When you're thinking about accountability, you hold new employees accountable for their own onboarding as well. So they have to be an active participant in this process. I mean, you have the structure, but they have to walk through it. And yes, you're there to guide them, but they have to be an active participant as well. The onboarding program should not just be a one-way street. It should not just be HR and hiring managers telling and giving. The new hire also is on the receiving end, and they should be giving and telling as well. Engage and empower new employees by providing them with a list of activities and action steps they need to accomplish during different phases of the program. That means so now they're being held accountable for something. They can't just sit there and just listen. Give them quizzes, tests, give them something so they feel like so they can be engaged and they feel like they need to be engaged, and then hold them accountable for that. The hiring manager should ensure that the time is set aside for these activities and follow up to ensure the employee is on track. Next, you want to talk about development, and that's that follow-up, that check-in. As with any program, you need to evaluate whether it's meeting your goals and objectives. So this is a two-way street. One, we're checking in with them, making sure that they have what they need, but also we're doing a little self-reflection as well, making sure that we're giving them what they need. Interview and survey new employees as they are going through the onboarding process and after they've been on the job for about 6 months to a year. That's a really good measurement in regards to, did the onboarding process that we have set you up for success, or did you see there was some improvements that we could make? From this feedback, you can learn how to improve your your process. We are always striving to better ourselves, better our yesterday. So while you may have a strong program, you can, we can always better it, better ourselves. Excuse me. We can always make improvements. And finally, revise your program based on that feedback that you receive. Don't be closed-minded. Everything can be improved. Now, can we do it immediately? No, some things may take some steps, but just listen and be open to that. And then the sixth part is that communication. I think communication is the most important part. Communicate a clear and formal plan of your program to the new employee, but also listen to the employee as well. Communication is a two-way street. It is imperative to realize the value of communication during the onboarding process. New employees' perceptions begin to develop at this point, so we want to ensure that they're going down the right path. We want to make sure that we're communicating effectively, that they understand what the expectation is, and we understand exactly what they're bringing to the table. And with that, you want to make sure that you're flexible, because once you hear that communication, you want to ensure that we are flexible enough to kind of make changes to it, or we can kind of do different things, have some variety. Once you've heard that feedback, be flexible and know you need to adjust, that we can adjust to that. So if the employee is having some challenges on one section, don't feel like you have to stick to the schedule, like we have to stick to that schedule. You will need to change, adapt. As adults, we are used to that, so we just may have to adapt to this person's way of learning. And then lastly, as we're coming to a close, when we're talking about the onboarding, the onboarding part, you want to solidify their excitement. You truly want to make them feel like they are part of the team. Treat this process around new hiring, joining your firm, as a celebration rather than an administrative task. You want to, as we all said, pre-start. I mean, before, when you're doing the job ad, we should be talking about culture and training and how upward mobility can happen within our organization. So that's starting the onboarding process right there, even through your job ad. It does not stop on day one. That would be orientation. We are talking about onboarding because we do want this person to stay for a long time. So we want them to have great tenure. And it happens if we don't stop onboarding at day one. Continue that training, engaging, giving those kudos, giving that feedback, and listening to that feedback. And then onboarding is not an individual sport. Onboarding is not just for one person. So there's not one coach for the onboarding team. It's everyone in the department, in the office, in the company is part of your onboarding team. So it's not just singular. And then communication flows in both directions. If you've ever started a job only to find the company totally unprepared, I'm raising my hand, yes, for your arrival. And then you feel deflated. You were excited about the job, but then you realize, do they really need me? Am I really going to be around? Because it seems like they didn't need me today, so are they going to need me tomorrow? Am I going to be able to stay here? Proper onboarding isn't just about first impressions. You want to take the time to plan it out, how new hires will be introduced to your company, will affect their future performance, their ability to achieve your goals, and for you, and the overall satisfaction for them as well as you. Because we don't want to have to hire if we don't have to. And if we can get somebody in the door and stays, that is wonderful. And when they get in the door, we want to give them some information of, self-awareness is always key and essential. At the Omnia Group, we have our professional development report. This report is written to be shared. So once you bring that person on, you run this professional development report, they'll talk about their strengths, their challenges, but it's in a way that it can be shared with the person, because we wrote these knowing that the person was going to read them. So now we can have a true open conversation in regards to areas that we're going to work on. And this is a great time to talk about, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to move within your organization? Now I'm looking at their strengths and challenges, and me as the hiring manager, I can help them in regards to getting to where they want to be. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you would like to have a copy of the presentation slide, it is right over here to the bottom left where it says June Lunch and Learn slide deck. Also, the onboarding sample checklist you can download as well. This is great in regards to making sure that you're covering all your bases. So those are free. for you to download. Next month, we're going to have delivering a painless 90-day employee performance evaluation. So now we've onboarded them, we've gotten them to that 90-day mark, and for a lot of us, that's the crucial time that we need to really start making some decisions on whether or not we're going to keep this person, because a lot of things change on day 91. So I want to thank you all, and if you have any questions, definitely go ahead and start typing those in while you all are downloading the takeaways. My contact information is up there if you have any questions in regards to this presentation, or if you have any suggestions in regards to presentations you would like us to hold, definitely send me those as well. I see if you're very welcome, Chip. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kimberly. You all are giving me the kudos. Wonderful. This is what you do for your new hires. You get them amped and pumped up and ready to go. So you all are giving me energy today. So all of my clients that I talked to today, they're going to get the very high energy Tanya today. Thank you so much, Jen. So it looks like we are right at 12:30. Definitely, I'm going to stay on the line, but I know some people are like, it was 60 minutes, so I don't want to hold anyone over. Thank you all. Definitely, if you have any questions, type them in, or if you want to give me more kudos and praise, I'm staying on the line for that as well. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day.